I am incredibly excited about the rate of progress, but I also am cautious and I would say I don't know, I feel small next to it or something. I think this is beyond something that we all fully yet understand where it's going to go. This is, I believe, among the biggest, maybe it'll turn out to be the biggest technological revolutions humanity will have ever produced.
You have a critical message for us this morning. So how many job losses are we talking about here, and who is at risk?
Things like summarizing a document, brainstorming, putting together a financial report makes me worry a lot that entry-level jobs in areas like finance, consulting, tech, many other areas like that, entry-level white-collar work, I worry that those things are going to be first augmented, but before long replaced by AI systems, and that we may indeed, it's hard to predict the future, but we may indeed have a serious employment crisis on our hands as the pipeline for these early stage white collar work.
Imagine waking up one morning to find your job no longer exists, not because of a layoff, not because of corporate restructuring, but because a machine just became better at doing your job than you were. No sci-fi robots storming the office, no dramatic headlines, just quiet, efficient replacement by artificial intelligence. Now imagine this isn't happening to a few thousand people, but potentially tens of millions. White-collar professionals, entry-level analysts, junior coders, legal associates, mid-level managers, all suddenly obsolete. This isn't speculation, it's a warning, straight from the heart of Silicon Valley. From the CEO of one of the world's most powerful AI companies, Anthropic's Dario Amodei. He's not just predicting disruption, he's sounding the alarm. AI could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs in the next 1 to 5 years. Unemployment could skyrocket to 10 to 20%, and most people aren't even paying attention. This is the story of how AI could trigger the biggest white-collar job extinction in history. The warning from within. Voiceover begins. Let's take a step back and meet the man at the center of this story. Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic. He's not just another tech executive riding the AI hype wave. He's one of the people building the very technology that could reshape our world overnight. Amodei spent years at OpenAI, where he was VP of Research, helping develop some of the most advanced AI models in existence. Then he left to co-found Anthropic, now one of the top players in the race to build powerful AI systems like their model, Claude. But here's the twist. While he's pushing the boundaries of what AI can do, he's also raising the alarm about its consequences. In a rare, candid interview from his San Francisco office, Amodei made it clear, this isn't about fear-mongering, it's about honesty. He believes AI is on track to eliminate up to half of all entry-level white-collar jobs within the next 1 to 5 years. That's not just a few job cuts here and there. We're talking a seismic shift across entire industries: finance, law, consulting, tech, you name it. And yet, most people aren't even paying attention. Most of them are unaware that this is about to happen, Amodei said. It sounds crazy, and people just don't believe it. That's why he's speaking out. Not to slow down progress, but to prepare for it. He wants governments, companies, and workers to understand what's coming before it's too late. Because once businesses realize how much money they can save by replacing humans with AI, the floodgates will open. This isn't speculation. It's already starting. And Amodei, someone who helped create the very tools that could displace millions, is sounding the alarm from inside the machine. Because if we don't start preparing now, the fallout could be catastrophic. 2. Why this matters. So why is Dario Amodei, a man building some of the most powerful AI in the world, suddenly sounding like a prophet of doom? Because he sees what's coming before the rest of us do. And unlike many tech leaders who either stay silent or sugarcoat the future, Amodei believes we're running out of time to prepare. Think about it. when past technologies disrupted jobs, like automation and manufacturing, there was a buffer. Workers had years, even decades, to adapt. Retraining programs kicked in, new industries emerged. People found different ways to earn a living. But this time, the shift could be faster than anything we've seen before. Amodei isn't just talking about job losses here and there. He's predicting that up to half of all entry-level, white-collar jobs could vanish in as little as 1 to 5 years. That's not a slow transition. That's a shock to the system. And right now, no one is ready for it. Governments aren't regulating. Companies aren't planning. And workers? Most don't even know how close they are to being replaced. This isn't about fear. It's about facts. The US government is distracted, worried more about staying ahead of China than protecting American workers from AI disruption. Lawmakers don't understand the scale of the problem. CEOs are afraid to speak openly. And the public? Well, most people still think AI is just a fancy search engine. But behind closed doors, every CEO we've spoken to is already asking, can we replace this role with AI? When can we start saving money by cutting human labor? And once that switch flips, once companies realize AI can do the work cheaper, faster, and without complaint, the floodgates will open. Mass layoffs, hiring freezes, entire departments disappearing overnight. This isn't science fiction. It's starting now. And if we don't act fast, the consequences could be catastrophic. Inside the AI revolution, let's break this down to the core. What exactly is making Dario Amodei and other AI leaders so concerned? It all starts with something called large language models, or LLMs. These are the brains behind today's most powerful AI systems, like Anthropic's Claude, OpenAI's GPT, and Google's Gemini. At their most basic level, these models can write, think, and reason in ways that rival human intelligence. They're trained on massive amounts of data: books, articles, code, conversations, and they learn to generate responses based on patterns they recognize. But here's the big leap. These models aren't just answering questions anymore. They're evolving into what experts call agentic AI, or AI agents. Think of an agent as a digital employee. It doesn't need breaks, it doesn't sleep, and it doesn't make mistakes the way humans do. Once given a task, it can plan, execute, and even loop back to improve its own work, all without human int. Imagine a junior lawyer who can review hundreds of legal contracts in seconds, or a financial analyst who builds complex reports overnight. How about a software developer who writes clean, efficient code with minimal oversight? That's not science fiction. It's already happening inside companies right now. And the scary part? These AI agents are cheap. Compared to hiring and training a full-time employee, businesses can run thousands of these digital workers at a fraction of the cost. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has already said mid-level coders may soon be unnecessary. Microsoft is cutting jobs while investing heavily in AI tools. Walmart is streamlining operations, anticipating that AI will handle many roles currently filled by people. The tipping point is coming fast. Once these AI systems reach human-level performance, which some believe could happen within the next 2 years, companies won't hesitate. They'll automate, they'll cut costs, and millions of white-collar workers could find themselves replaced, quietly, efficiently, and permanently. This isn't about robots taking over factories. This is about AI taking over minds. And we're standing at the edge of that new era. Or, real companies, real cuts. This isn't just a Silicon Valley CEO's doomsday theory. This is already happening. Major companies quietly shifting gears, and in some cases, making big moves that signal the beginning of AI-driven job cuts. Let's start with Microsoft. The tech giant recently announced it would be laying off 6,000 workers, about 3% of its global workforce. While not all of those cuts are directly tied to AI, internal sources say the company is accelerating its investment in AI tools that can perform tasks previously handled by human engineers. Meta is another example. CEO Mark Zuckerberg has been open about his belief that mid-level coders may soon become unnecessary. Just months after making that claim, Meta announced a 5% reduction in its workforce, a sign that the company is preparing for an AI-first future. Walmart isn't immune either. The retail giant cut 1,500 corporate jobs as part of a broader effort to streamline operations in anticipation of AI-driven automation. These weren't frontline jobs. These were white-collar roles in areas like logistics, planning, and administration. CrowdStrike, the fast-growing cybersecurity firm, also slashed 5% of its workforce, citing what they called a market and technology inflection point, driven by AI reshaping every industry. And then there's LinkedIn's Chief Economic Opportunity Officer, Anish Raman, who recently warned in a New York Times op-ed that AI is already breaking the bottom rungs of the career ladder, hitting junior developers, paralegals, and young professionals in finance and law. Even inside Axios, hiring managers now have to justify why a role can't be replaced by AI before any new position gets approved. Across industries, the message is clear. CEOs aren't waiting. They're not just experimenting with AI. They're actively planning for a future where many roles will be done faster, cheaper, and more efficiently by machines. And once that shift gains momentum, it won't slow down. Because when you can replace a $100,000 a year employee with a digital agent that costs pennies on the dollar, the decision becomes less about ethics and more about economics. 5. The winners and the worried. So who actually benefits from this AI revolution, and who should be worried? Let's start with the winners. First, there are the big AI companies: Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, Meta, Microsoft. They're sitting on top of a gold rush. Every time a business replaces a human worker with an AI agent, these companies get richer. Then come the tech-savvy entrepreneurs and investors. They're betting billions that AI will reshape the economy. And when it does, they'll be the ones cashing in. And let's not forget the corporations that adopt AI early. Companies like Walmart, Microsoft, and CrowdStrike are already streamlining operations, cutting costs, and boosting profits, all by reducing their reliance on human labor. The people most at risk? Young professionals just starting out, junior developers, paralegals, financial analysts, marketing associates, and entry-level consultants. These are the jobs that form the foundation of careers, the stepping stones to bigger roles. But what happens when those steps are gone? Dario Amodei warns that AI is about to break the bottom rungs of the career ladder. If you can't get your first job because a machine took it, where do you go? And it's not just young workers. Anyone in repetitive, knowledge-based roles could find themselves replaced, quietly and without warning. Amodei isn't just worried about unemployment. He's concerned about inequality. If wealth concentrates in the hands of a few, while millions struggle to find work, the social balance starts to tilt. Democracy is premised on the average person having leverage through economic value, he says. If that disappears, things become scary. In other words, if we don't plan for this shift now, we might wake up in a world where power is held by fewer and fewer people, and opportunity becomes harder than ever to find. This isn't just about jobs. It's about the future of work itself, and the clock is ticking. 6. Possible solutions. So what can we actually do about this? Dario Amodei isn't just raising the alarm. He's pushing for real solutions. And surprisingly, some of them come straight from inside the AI industry itself. First and foremost, we need to start talking, honestly, openly, and at every level of society. Amodei believes governments, companies, and workers are all in denial. That's why Anthropic launched something called the Economic Impact Index, a tool that tracks how different jobs are being affected by AI usage right now. The goal? Make it impossible to ignore. We want to create awareness, Amodei says. If people don't know which jobs are most at risk, they can't prepare. But awareness alone isn't enough. We also need action. One idea Amodei supports is retraining, not just in tech, but across industries. He wants governments to invest heavily in education programs that help displaced workers transition into roles that AI can't easily replace. Things like creative work, human-centered services, or high-level decision-making. Another solution, regulation, not to slow down AI, but to guide its impact. He's calling for a national AI commission, a body that would monitor job displacement trends and recommend policies before mass layoffs hit. Think of it like an early warning system for the economy. And then there's the big one, taxation. Amodei floated a bold idea, a token tax, on every AI interaction that generates revenue. Every time a company uses an AI model to replace a human task, a small percentage of that profit goes back to the government to be reinvested in workforce development, universal basic income, or even direct support for displaced workers. I know it's not great for my bottom line, Amodei admits, but if we're serious about steering this train, we have to consider it. He's not asking for charity. He's asking for responsibility. Because once AI starts replacing millions of jobs, we'll wish we had planned for it, instead of pretending it wouldn't happen. And here's the thing. None of these solutions will stop AI from changing the world. They might just make sure that when it does, we're ready. Final thoughts. So where do we go from here? The truth is, AI isn't going away. It's not a passing trend or a temporary disruption. This is the next industrial revolution, and it's happening faster than any of us are prepared for. But that doesn't mean we have to be victims of it. Dario Amodei didn't sit down with us to scare people. He did it because he believes we still have time, a small window, to shape what comes next. We can ignore this shift and let it happen to us. Or we can face it head-on, prepare ourselves, and steer the future in a direction that benefits all of us, not just a few. That starts with awareness. If you're a student about to enter the workforce, now is the time to ask, what skills will make me valuable in an AI-driven world? If you're a CEO or manager, ask yourself, how can I use AI to empower my team, not replace it? And if you're a policymaker, wake up. The train has left the station. Your job is to make sure it doesn't run over millions of workers in the process. This isn't about stopping progress. It's about guiding it wisely, because the future isn't written yet, and how it unfolds, who wins, who loses, and who gets left behind depends on the choices we make right now. So don't wait until it's too late. Educate yourself, talk to others, start preparing. Because when the AI revolution hits full speed, are you going to get left behind or lead the way?